It feels like home, home, home. It feels like home, home, home. It feels like home.
So hey there, friends. It's another busy day around here. I'm just trying to get a little bit of dinner started so that when we come home, it'll probably be close to ready. And I'm just gonna make some Swedish meatballs, and I will share that recipe down in the description with you. They are super scrumdiddlyumptious, and I highly recommend them. And we have all the ingredients already, so that's why we're going with that. We actually have some locally raised ground beef, which I think is the way to go if you possibly can. And anyway, it's a good day so far, but I just wanted to, again, I'm so mind blown. Scripture is unbelievably right on what I need. And I know it's probably because we are in the midst of this free fall that we're in. And believe me when I say a free fall is not free. And that has been really a test of all of us trying to just make the most of everything that we have. More and more of us are aware that it's a good time to just have some extra on the shelf. And if you possibly can, if you're buying a can of tomatoes, buy 3. If you're buying some, any of your canned goods, try and buy extra of those things, or grains. And you can store grains with a little bit of diatomaceous earth, food grade diatomaceous earth, and that will kind of keep any bugs or anything from coming and springing up out of those. Anyway, that's not even what I was gonna say in my video today, but I just did wanna say, please be preparing for whatever's to come. We don't know, but it's not gonna hurt you to have some extra of some things, even if it just is to share with somebody else. As I was reading in scripture today, we're in this is just this 1-year Bible. I'm in this, and it's really been so helpful. I will link it again in the description, because we either read it from here or we listen to it online if we're driving or if we're running around, or actually even if I'm just folding laundry. A lot of times I'll just listen to it while I'm doing those things, and I like the guy's voice who reads it. So anyway, today's reading was from the book of Joshua 3, and it's verses 5 and 6. And this is kind of a long portion of scripture, but let me just preface by saying this is when God is trying to convince the Israelites that he is with Joshua in the same way that he was with Moses. And so Joshua says to the people, "Consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do amazing things among you." I mean, what an exciting day, right? Joshua said to the priests, "Take up the Ark of the Covenant and pass on ahead of the people." So they took it up and went ahead of them. So they're following all the instructions that the Lord has given. And then I skip down to verse 14, and it says, "So when the people broke camp to cross the Jordan River, the priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant went ahead of them. Now the Jordan is at flood stage all during the harvest." So it's not like it's like low, and it's like a big raging river. And I think about the flood stage. If you want to see what happened on our little farm, just a few months ago, we had a huge flood come, and we have just a little bitty meandering creek down on our property, and it flooded, I mean, so far above its banks and way out into our animal pen. I couldn't believe that it could get that big, but it was like a massive river all of a sudden. And so it says, "The Jordan is at flood stage during the harvest, yet as soon as the priests who carried the ark reached the Jordan and their feet touched the water's edge, the water from upstream stopped flowing. It piled up in a heap a great distance away." So it wasn't until when? Until the priest's feet touched the edge of the water. And so imagine they're carrying the ark and they're going, okay, but like this is a huge flowing river in front of us, the Jordan River, not just a little tiny creek, but a big flowing river. And they step out, and as soon as their feet touch the edge of the river, that's when it begins to part and pile up on each side of them. And then they cross through again on dry ground. This is God's confirmation to Israel that he is with Joshua in the same way that he was with Moses. And so I feel like that's a little bit how our family life is that, you know, my husband was feeling trapped in this public school job, and he knew that he wasn't He wasn't supposed to be there. He just could not stay. And so he literally just stepped off into the nothing. And when he told me that, it was like, okay, well, we've just jumped off a cliff. And it reminded me of the scene in Indiana Jones when Indiana Jones is trying to get like the chalice from the Last Supper, and he's got to get it. And his father's like dying. I'm not really sure of all the details. I haven't seen the whole movie in a while, but I'm going to link this scene in the description too, because it just is so powerful. If there's something that God is calling you to, something for you to do, sometimes you have to take that first step. Sometimes you have to bring your feet to the water's edge. Sometimes you have to be willing to step off the precipice. And as Indiana Jones comes to the place that he's called to go, and he's like, take a leap of faith. And he's like, I'm looking from here to way across this huge abyss, this huge precipice. And he's like, no man could possibly jump from here to there. How am I supposed to do that? And then it cuts to his dad, and his dad says, son, you must believe. And so Indiana Jones then takes this huge inhale, and he steps his foot out. And as he steps his foot out into this big, huge, massive drop that you can't even see the bottom of, his foot lands on solid ground. His foot lands on something so firm. He's like, what? But it didn't appear there. It was totally hidden from him until he took that first step. And I feel a little like that in our family life. Like we have jumped off into the nothing, and then all of a sudden it's like, I can begin to start to feel that God has something up underneath us. And I don't fully know it yet. It hasn't fully risen to our feet yet, but I know that it's there. And so we're trusting, and we're in the middle of that leap. We're in the middle of that step, and just watching God come through in scripture, God come through in so many specific ways. I can't tell you the details of today, but he has just come through in such a mighty and miraculous way for us today specifically, that I know. He's hearing and answering our prayers. He's with us, and he sees us, and it is the truth for you as well. He sees what you're going through. He knows it completely. He knows when you're worried. He knows when fear is trying to take hold and attack you, and he has not given us a spirit of fear, but one of power and love and a sound mind. We don't have to be thinking those awful thoughts that what if this and what if that. That's not of him. He says, trust in me and I will deliver you. And he has us in his hands. He holds us close to himself, and nothing can hurt us. Nothing can come into our lives apart from his allowing it for our good. And so I am so confident of that even though we're going through difficulty and I am pounding the pavement every single day, I know that he has such good things in mind for us, and I am seeing the glimmer of his faithfulness through it all. And I hope that you are too, even though it looks like there's trouble over here and this is happening over here, and there are all kinds of varying things coming at us in all directions. Steady yourself and secure yourself in the truth that God has told us ahead of time what would come, and he is with us in every step of the way. And so I'm going to get those meatballs started, and these are the best meatballs I've ever had. They're Swedish meatballs, and I think it's like from an IKEA recipe, but it is just so creamy and so comforting and so delicious. And like I said, we have all the ingredients, and you probably do too. Anyway, I hope you all are having a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next video.